This is William, hopefully your favorite videographer. We are here at the Dallas Area Rapid Transit Board meeting, the agency known as DART to Dallas, Texas residents. As a service to the Dallas community, we plan to cover DART board meetings from gavel to gavel. Public comments are required to keep DART board aware of issues close to the ridership that they may not get through other resources.
Well, good afternoon. It is now 6:45 p.m. Today, June 27, 2017, and we will begin our Dallas Area Rapid Transit Board of Directors meeting. Okay, we're good. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our June 6th and June 20th meeting. Motion for approval? Okay. Second. No changes? Okay, the meetings will stand as written. We do have a public hearing tonight to amend DART's fare structure, and there's a process for that. So if you would bear with me, please. Okay, good evening. Thank you for attending tonight's public hearing. My name is Faye Wilkins, and I will be acting as the hearing officer this evening. For your information, DART has not received a request for hearing impaired services at this public hearing. Therefore, we do not have a sign language interpreter. We do, however, have Spanish translation services available. Is there anyone here who requires this service? Ms. Amanda, will you ask that, please? Soy intérprete, estoy sirviendo para 10 personas que necesito de interpretación de español e inglés. ¿Hay alguien que Okay, it is there. ¿Hay alguien que necesita interpretación de español e inglés? Okay, if not, the interpreter is relieved. Thank you. Tonight's public hearing will be divided into two parts. The first part will consist of a brief overview of the project by DART's technical staff. The public hearing will follow this process. During the public hearing, we must follow some guidelines. Pre-registered speakers will make their comments first, followed by sign-in speakers in the order received. Those who do not wish to speak may submit written comments. All comments will be included in the official public record. A DART board resolution has established a limit of 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers must address the topic of the hearing. Other subjects will not be allowed in this hearing. Questions, interchange, and discussions are not generally allowed in a hearing. However, if a board member wishes to raise a question, he or she may do so. Technical staff will be available after the public hearing for questions. Now, Joe Costello, Senior, Vice President, DART Finance, will make his presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few remarks before we get to our speakers. So the fare structure amendment is going to take place in a series of steps, beginning with November 17, and then January of 18, and May of 18, and then August of 18. The timing is influenced by a new payment system that we're deploying. Most of the changes in price will become effective in 2018, but many of the new features will become available beforehand. So in November of 2017, we will put new fare boxes on our buses. These fare boxes will issue a different kind of ticket, and so part of the change will be going from a 2-hour day pass structure to an AM/PM structure. So for the price of a 2-hour pass right now, $2.50, you would be able to purchase an AM or a PM pass. You can buy them both at the same time for $5, the same price that you would pay for a day pass. And also in November of 2017, we will have arranged with a number of retail locations throughout the area, almost 1,000 retail locations, the ability for our customers to go into those retail locations and be able to use cash to buy Go Passes, which is our mobile ticket. Then also regarding GoPass, in May of 2018, we'll be able to have fare capping on GoPass, and that will enable customers to purchase a monthly pass by using passes throughout the month. And so right now a monthly pass is $80. If you are buying or activating a day pass, which is a $5 ticket, you do that 16 times, the system will keep track of you. You get up to $80, you'll receive a monthly pass, and you'll no longer have to pay for anything further for the rest of the month. Then in August of 2018, we'll deploy contactless payment cards to all those retail locations. They'll be like a gift card, and you would be able to purchase them for $6. When you go up to the cashier and purchase your GoPass Tap card, which is the name of our contactless payment card, it'll activate, and you'll have $6 of value on that card. Then that card is what you would use to tap the validators, which are the devices that have been appearing on our buses and platforms. That will deduct from your account. The system will be able to calculate the best fare for you, and as you tap throughout the day. It'll also keep track of how much you pay during the day, and it'll stop when you get to a day's worth of service. It's charging you for the day. It'll stop charging you for the day, and when you get up to a month's worth of service, it'll stop charging you for the rest of the month. In August of 2018, that's when we're looking to increase most of our prices. It's generally a 20% price increase with some exceptions. The midday price will only go up 25 cents from $1.75 to $2. The paratransit single ride will go from $3 to $3.50. Then there's some other changes that we're making to our programs. We're changing the reduced rider eligibility, including transitional programs, expanding the high school eligibility to a full week. We're looking to drop trade schools from the reduced rider eligibility, as well as from the higher education program. And then for reduced fare, we're looking to move to a local and regional price structure that we do for our other media, where a regional price is twice of what a local pass would be. And then finally, we're introducing in August of 2018, the ability to get on the bus, pay cash, and just ride a single ride for $2.50, which is the price of a 2-hour pass today. A few changes from the proposal that we had been circulating so far. From customer comments, we discovered a circumstance where a rider might board shortly before noon, look to buy an AM pass, and then that pass would only be good for a short time. Monday through Friday, the solution for that rider would be to buy a midday pass. But on weekends, we don't have a midday pass currently. So we're changing our proposal, staff is changing their proposal to extend the availability of a midday pass to the full week. Also, a number of comments pointed out that on very busy days, it would be advantageous for us to sell day passes rather than AM, PM passes. And we agree. And so for busy days like Texas OU Day and St. Patrick's Day Parade and Columbus Day, we would switch our TVMs, our ticket vending machines, and the fare boxes to issue day passes rather than AM and PM passes to address those high ridership days. And finally, for paratransit, the price of a monthly ticket for paratransit in the proposal currently shows at $140. This is more than the current structure, which is 32 trips earn you a monthly cap. So we're changing that price, the proposed price. Instead of $140, we would propose it at $112. Those are my prepared remarks, and now I turn it over to the public comments.
Thank you, Mr. Costello. Tonight's hearing is being recorded by a court reporter, so all comments received are a matter of public record. It is now 6:54 p.m. Tuesday, June 27, 2017. According to the requirements set forth in DART's enabling legislation, this public hearing on the November 2017 and January and August 2018 fare restructure proposals is now open to receive comments. To date, DART has received 196 written comments on the above issue. This total includes comments received through the DART website, online social media, and similar applications. Any written comments received by the end of the hearing will be added to this total. We will begin to receive comments now. Please be reminded there's a 3-minute limit in which to make your comments, and please keep the comments on the subject of the November 2017 and January and August 2018 fare restructure proposals. I have 22 speakers, and the first speaker will be Sean Aranje, followed by James Mosley. Yes, please. And I hope I didn't butcher your name too much.
A little bit.
If you could, please state your name and address for the record.
Sean Orange. Do you need my address? Is that what you said? 6330 Winton Street, Dallas, Texas, 75214. I work for Baylor Scott & White. I'm the system director there. And part of the changes were for the corporate structure. That 20% was increasing the fare from $600 to $720. Our budget starts July of every year, and so getting notice for this now, our budget's already been set. So we have, I think year to date, we're nearing 600 people that we purchased the local DART pass for. That right there is nearing $20,000 or $70,000, equivalent to probably 2 or 3 people in my department. So it's just kind of if we got more notice, we could have budgeted for it better. So basically like a year and a half, knowing that now we're gonna, in January, spend probably $7 grand more, kind of puts a little bit of a bind for our company. But I understand the cost of business and everything, so I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and we made note of it. We do have it in our records, so we'll make sure that we take care of your issue. Okay, thank you. Next is James Mosley, followed by Regina Montoya. James Mosley. James Mosley. Okay, Regina Montoya, followed by Gary Duke.
Thank you, Chair Wilkins and board members, for this opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Regina Montoya, and I am the chair of Mayor Mike Rawlings' Task Force on Poverty. Dallas is a spectacular city with beautiful parks, gleaming buildings, award-winning bridges. But there is another side of Dallas that merits your consideration today: the thousands of working poor Dallasites. 24% of Dallas lives in poverty. We have the second highest rate of child poverty of big cities over 1 million. Only Philadelphia is worse. When we look at the number of children who live in extreme poverty, we have 50,000 children. That is less than $12,000 for a family of 4. Over 1/2 of Dallas households make less than $50,000 per year. And one more data point: more than 77% of HUD-assisted housing units are unaffordable due to transportation costs. Now, I've just given you a lot of numbers, but I want to paint a picture for you. It is the person who takes care of your children or your parents or cleans your office or serves you at the fast food restaurant, people living on the minimum wage but are part of the working poor. As Mr. Costello just pointed out in his remarks, the 20% increase is proposed for many fares, such as the AM or PM fare. This will be raising the numbers from $2.50 to $3 or $5 to $6. In addition, there is a price hike schedule of 20% for elementary and middle school children. And remember, I just mentioned that there are 50,000 children living in extreme poverty. Study after study has shown that the cost of transportation is a critical factor in escaping poverty. One study by Chetty and Hendren, both economists, and is noted by the New York Times in an article recently, put it this way: the relationship between transportation and social mobility is stronger than that between mobility and several other factors like crime and elementary school test scores as well. In addition, we would also say that a study by Shima Hamidi from UTA showed that the Dallas-Plano-Irving MSA is the 4th worst area in America with the highest number of unaffordable properties in terms of transportation costs. We would urge you to consider discounted rates for low-income riders. As a recent article in Governing Magazine described, other cities have done this. Seattle, San Francisco, Chicago Regional, Cincinnati, Denver, Kansas City Metro. A $5 weekly increase may not seem like a lot to some people, but it is to someone who is barely surviving, working several minimum wage jobs. It could mean skipping a meal every week to make up the difference. This 20% increase could be a devastating one for many people in our community. How many of us could survive in one fell swoop a 20% increase in our utility bills, in our food bills? Keeping transportation costs affordable is a key element in reducing poverty in Dallas. We hope that all of you can find a solution that doesn't overburden the working poor of Dallas. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Gary Duke, followed by Phyllis Silver.
So my name is Gary Duke. I live at 5609 Victor Street here in Dallas. I have a son who's been on disability for 25 years, and he's schizophrenic. And I came today after hearing that his monthly reduced fare was going to change from $40 to $96. So, and he lives on an income that is every penny counts. So I guess my first question is that accurate? Because it doesn't seem to be what I find in the literature. Does anybody know?
When you're done, Mr. Costello can visit with you when you're done. The gentleman who made the presentation, he will have the answer for you.
Okay. But let me just say, if that's the case, it's going to be incredibly difficult, and I urge you not to do that. At the national level, it seems like the poor are under attack everywhere, and I was so disappointed to hear that it might be the case here. If it's not the case, I just want to say thank you for all that you do. It's an incredibly rich and valuable resource in his life, and it would be very different without it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Silver, followed by Robin Kirk.
Hello, I'm Phyllis Silver, and as many of you know, I am a member of DART's Citizens Advisory Committee and a former chair of the committee. However, I'm here to talk this evening on behalf of myself. And my comments were prepared before Mr. Costello's presentation this evening, and some of what he's saying is a modification is is reflected in my comments. And I'd like to say that I understand the need to raise fares, although this is a hardship for some riders whose income is not rising in pace with price increases. One feature being proposed that I urge you to reconsider, and that's one of the things that Mr. Costello just talked about, is the AM/PM pass. In many instances, this is a poor value for riders. If someone purchases their pass a few hours or just a few minutes before the pass expires, it's a bad deal. People have appointments and commitments and will travel when they need to travel. They are unable to plan their travel according to the times that a transit pass is valid. I understand the reasons why the AM/PM pass is being proposed. However, the shortfalls outweigh the benefits because it is often a bad deal for riders and it will only frustrate them. This is not a good way to maintain and increase ridership. I recommend that you retain the day pass and increase its price. On another matter pertaining to the fare structure change, I trust that DART will continue to work with the Fort Worth TA and DCTA to make the regional passes compatible from one system to the other. Currently, going from one transit system to another is seamless, and I ask that it remain that way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Silver. Ms. Robin Kirk, followed by Andrew Kirk.
Hello, my name is Robin Kirk. My address is 3208 James Drive. I live in South Dallas, very near Longview Station and Hatcher Station on the Green Line. I have two comments on the fare restructuring. Comment one, Wages have not gone up 20% here. Aid to seniors and disabled people has not gone up 20%. Minimum wage has not gone up in 8 years since 2009, not at all. Incomes are stagnant in this area, and even the rate of inflation for the past 5 years was 6.6%. When DART says it wants to raise fares 20%, 3 times the rate of inflation, the fare increase is regressive. This will hit the people with the most stagnant incomes the absolute hardest. That's low-wage workers whose minimum wage has not gone up since 2009, seniors who are often on a fixed income, disabled riders who are often on a fixed income, and students. 2, I went to a couple of the pre-public hearing meetings, and what I kept hearing is 20% increase across the board. But there's a certain group of seniors and disabled riders whose fare will go up 140%. That's reduced regional riders who use the TRE that goes out to Fort Worth or the DCTA that goes up to Denton. They're going to be charged $96 for a pass that did cost $40. So I have a challenge for the DART board and the citizens. Challenge DART to prove that this is needed. What is the projected revenue increase from this 140% hit on a small group of disabled and senior riders? Is it a difference maker for DART to charge those people 140% more to access a regional pass? $56 a month is a difference maker for those people who live on fixed incomes. 140% increase all at once is too much to ask of a very small group of riders. I believe the entire fare increase is regressive, but if DART must raise by 20%, actually do it across the board without a drastic 140% exception. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kirk. Andrew Kirk, followed by Sandra Crenshaw.
Hello, I'm Andrew Kirk. I have the same address she does. I'm her husband. 3208 James Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75227. So I wanted to address a couple of issues. First of all, I'm a Dallas ISD teacher. I've ridden DART for about 3 years and transit for 6 in total. Before I kind of address the 2 points I wanted to talk about, I did want to say that I'm very supportive of the 7-day eligibility for high school students. But I wanted to talk about 2 things. Basically, how I think the fare restructure will affect the cost for riders who are eligible for reduced, both financially and socially, and then how I think it'll affect the ridership in general. I want to agree with my wife about the regressive nature of the fare restructure, especially with regard to the reduced passes, the riders who are eligible for those. I'm concerned that, based on what I heard at the pre-public hearings, that people who want the reduced passes will have to actually come to these offices in order to qualify, especially for riders with disabilities, seniors. That's a lot, especially for people who may live on the edges of the DART service area. One other thing that she did not speak to earlier, I wanted to talk about, is younger riders who oftentimes don't even consider DART. I'm concerned that this fare increase will make DART even less competitive and will incentivize more passengers using ride-hailing services like Uber and Lyft. So basically, my concerns are about the cost for reduced passengers and just the overall trend in ridership. Again, as fares are going up they're going 20%, which is significantly higher than the rate of inflation. I think it'll be a major incentive for people to look for other options. So I urge you to consider that, as well as what was mentioned earlier with regard to the regional increase of, I think it was 140%, from $40 to $96. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk. We have now Sandra Crenshaw, followed by Margaret Thompson.
Good evening. Let me start. Okay. Good evening. My name is Sandra Crenshaw, and as the Dallas NAACP Political Action Chair and co-chair of the Southern Sector 1983 Dallas Rail Referendum bond election with J.B. Jackson, former founding DART board member, a former CAC member, disabled, transit-dependent rider with DART, and most recently, the architect of the Clean Sweep, Clean Slate campaign to rid of all of the African American council members. We're concerned about the fact that the poor and the riders and the bus drivers are not, or have not been for many years, on the agenda of our mayor and city council. I was pulling through some of the archives, Madam Chairman, in 1983, and Philip Seib, who is an attorney and assistant professor of journalism at SMU, wrote an editorial called The Forgotten Dallas Agenda. He said that while politicians debate growth and enhancement of the quality of life in Dallas, they too often fail to discuss the plight of the poor. These people may be quiet. They're not even here today. But their desperation is no less real. It is irresponsible to conduct political debate about DART without offering plans for meeting their needs. The issues here, and I skip over, and he says the issues listed here that were on the agenda, also on the agenda of the 2017 Clean Sweep, Clean Slate campaign that we ran, listed here should have been debated thoroughly during the campaigns, but they weren't. We couldn't get the community to raise the issue that was going on here at DART at the campaign forums. So, but whoever is elected to the new council, this was in 1983, 34 years ago, should be met promptly by the demands from the voters that these and other important issues must be addressed. If the council refuses to do so, we should start looking now for better candidates for the 1985 election. I think y'all know what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the fact that the Dallas City Council still tries to micromanage a regional authority. I think that it is incumbent upon the DART officials to express concern about that. In 1983, when we reduced the 25 members for the interim DART members to a smaller member, the DART board members said this. They said that we're concerned because we will have to guide the newcomers through a jungle of transit jargon and then try to establish the harmony that they had gained when they were working together. Lee Simpson said the thing that the interim board had going was a challenge to replace is a sense of balance in approaching this thing from a regional standpoint. My time is probably up, but we will be approaching the Federal Transit Administration and the legislature and other oversight agencies to see if we can get the legislature to amend the creation of DART, Regional Authority, that we begin to elect our appointees on this board, or elect the members of the DART board so that we can avoid this situation.
I hate to interrupt, Ms. Crenshaw, but your time is up.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
We have Margaret Thompson, followed by Mike King.
Good afternoon. My name is Margaret L. Thompson. I live at 3446 Pebble Shore Drive in the Oak Cliff sector. My concern about the AM, PM, and the fare hike, and I don't mind it, but what happened to my 24-hour service that comes with the pay hike for the fare? Because that's what was supposed to be implemented in 2015. That's what I was told in 2004. Haven't got that yet. What's about that? That's what I was promised. And when it went up, I never seen it happen. Now you're gonna tell me I'm gonna get a 12-hour pass, and I gotta pay $1.50 more. And then if I don't use all it, I got to pay $6 just to get the $3 pass. That don't help me. Only thing that help is the people that's gonna come to the conventions, the football games. It doesn't help the residents and the people of Dallas. It does not get us where we need to be to stay on top, to be able to help y'all, to help us. We don't get no help on that. Then we still don't have good service. That's not good. I stood on the bus stop today for an hour and 45 minutes for somebody to tell me that the bus was in a wreck, and then all the buses are going downtown one way, but ain't nothing going back the other way. So that means I lost my job today. Not good. Not good at all. I hope y'all have a great day, but I still want my 24-hour service for my money.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. We have Mike King, followed by April Holmes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's been a minute since I've seen some of the board members here. My concern, which the board would keep the public hearings open. The reason why I say that, I read the system every day, and now not one time I saw this communications on the rail system or the buses, because we have video stuff on the buses. They show everything else, but nothing about these public hearings. You had these meetings at these other locations, but there was nowhere on where the everyday rider can see this information about the restructuring the structure of the system, the pay system here. And then you add all this technology. I don't know what type of impact the barriers just present to some of the riders, but the rider on this system should be somewhere at the door, even at where you have the advertisement at the rail stations. It should be something posted there to show that these meetings are going on. Also on the bus, and at the shelter, the bus shelters, on the bus stops. So to me, the citizens, the riders were not properly notified about these public hearings, so that we can hopefully keep the board keep the public hearing open at least another 60 days or something, so everybody can be notified, because I ride the system every day, and I don't see no kind of communication relating to these meetings. Yes, it's in the newspapers, but everybody don't see it in the newspaper, and everybody don't have access to the internet to see it, but everybody that's riding the system every day, you don't even see this. It's not even out there now. You don't see nothing out there. So this is unacceptable for this system to relate to making this change, adjustment to the policy that's DART. That's something to be looked at, and this is something very inexcusable to have this type of information go on public hearing, and it's going to be increased. I'm hearing that, and I echo what the other citizens said came before me. You probably need to go back to the drawing board, look at this, and really just keep the public hearing open till you get all over the system, because I ride all the different lines, so this is not fair to the riders that ride the system every day, not know about these meetings, and you're making a big change like this. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. We have April Holmes, followed by Megan McGowan.
Good evening. At 1208 Renters Row in Richardson, 1208 Renters Row.
Can you repeat it? He can't understand you. You got a little bit closer to the mic.
1208 Renters Row is where I live at, right? Renters.
Repeat your entire words.
Okay, I got it now. Okay, my concern is, I'm gonna make it short. Dallas is turning into a melting pot, and we have all different people from all different city, places, and ethnicities. And the highways are overcrowded, there's accidents every day, and it's like a domino effect. Now there's more ridership and whatnot, and pretty soon you're gonna have to add another car. Also, my concern is the trains are not really kept. When they're coming out of that last stop, they ought to be looking shining. They ought to smell better, they ought to look better. The seats need to be changed, they're stained up, they have nits in them, and people are sitting on this trying to get to their destination, go to work, and they're sitting on these things and trying to get back. So you should do a better job of upkeep of this train and its cleanliness. and then y'all want to make a fare raise. All of this is involved, you know. And also, we need to see more visible with policing, more visible with these fare enforcers. There's not enough of them early in the morning, 6, 7 o'clock, 5 a.m. in the morning. You know, we have, and then the bus drivers on that Lover's Lane stop there, they kind of slack. A lot of them have a tendency to get off, take this long walk break, and people got to go to work in the morning. You know, and I myself, I called and reported because we're trying to get to our jobs and stuff. You know, they don't have enough considerations to try to get people to their destination. They're on their jobs. I'm almost finished. So my main thing is like the cleanliness, and you know, checking on. And we need also better checkers to check on these bus drivers to make sure they're getting people to their destination. They don't come in until like 9 o'clock late. You know, they need to be somebody there more early in the morning to be on top of these guys. And a lot of these guys, they're from other cities, other states. They're bringing their bad habits here. Okay, so all of this stuff needs to be looked into if you're talking about going up on the fare. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Holmes. Megan McGowan, followed by Justin Vander.
Good evening, Madam Chair and the Board. My name is Megan McGowan, 10220 Killarney Drive, 75218, Casa Linda area. And once again, we are seeing yet another very large, significant fare increase. But yet, it seems as though in my 25 years of riding DART, that every time a fare increase takes place, a service cut follows. There has been some severe service cuts in the Casa Linda area where I am from. We used to have a bus known as Bus Route 519, which used to serve between South Garland and Park Lane Station, eventually shortened to Mockingbird. Shortly after a fare increase, that route went away. That was a big route. The 467 was created as the division of the very long route 466. In the 466 days, we used to have service on that route on alternating trips to our closest rail station, White Rock Station. When that fare increase took place and the 466 was split into 467, those trips were eliminated. That service to our local rail station was eliminated. But yet we are paying more for less service. We cannot even access White Rock Station on a single bus trip unless we wish to use DART on call, which is not available, number one, on the weekends, and number two, at the times when we may need to travel right then and there. You have to call and schedule at least 1 hour ahead. With the buses, we often don't have to do that. Look at the schedule, pick the bus closest to when you want to leave. So at least there's a little bit of spontaneity, a little bit of ability to make urgent trips if necessary. But that is not always available, and it doesn't always go to certain areas. So what are we winding up with? What exactly are we getting for our fare increase? Are we getting an increased service? Are we going to be having more drivers? Are we going to be having better security at the stations? Or is it going to be pay more, get less, as it has been for the last 25 years? That's all I have to say at this time, and if possible, I would like to speak with somebody in planning at the end of the meeting, if at all possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. McGowan. We have Justin Vander, followed by Veronica Beatty.
Hi, good afternoon. Justin Vander, 351 West Jefferson, 75208. And I work for Prism Health North Texas, formerly known as AIDS Arms. We help clients with HIV/AIDS, and we provide them with day passes. So I'd like to advocate for the continuation of maintaining the day passes, and I'd also like to advocate for keeping the nonprofit rate that allows us to buy more for our clients and get them to their medical appointments. We tell them to be efficient and do all their appointments in a day if they can, so that they don't have to use that many passes, and it saves us money and helps them get to their appointments. And I wanted to reiterate that a lot of what fellow citizens here have said tonight is this really does impact the lowest income citizens in Dallas, and the majority of our clients are on SSI. They get less than $800 a month. $5 is a lot of money for them if they have to do it or anything like that. So by us using grants and stuff that we're funded for to buy them these day passes, it really helps them stretch their income. It also creates a healthier Dallas, because to stay healthy when you're on HIV, you need medications. To get medications, you have to go to your doctor's appointment. You miss your doctor's appointment, you can't go and get any more medications, and then the community viral load, they call it, goes up, which is against the national agenda. We're trying to get the community viral load down. So this really, it's just a bus ride for a lot of people, but for other people, it's health. And we don't want them to miss their appointments. Often they have substance abuse, mental health issues, which makes it even more challenging to get them into care. And anything we can do to eliminate those barriers help. We also work with a lot of homeless clients. So we also have a bunch of passes we bought, so whatever the decision, we hope you honor those passes. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Vander. We have Veronica Beatty, followed by Omar Jimenez.
Hello. Okay. Good evening. My name is Veronica Beatty. My mailing address is on record. I have an individual annual pass. According to DART's state-mandated performance audit, the rate for my pass rose 25% in December of 2012. Corporate passes did not. The report also states that the agency experienced system-wide revenue growth of 53% because of the 25% increase in annual and monthly passes. DART's real estate department uses the Consumer Price Index to set rental rates. The cumulative CPI between 2012 and 2016 is 6.1%. The CPI between March 2016 and March 2017 is 2.2%, so I don't understand why the agency needs a 17.5% increase. Finally, DART can easily generate revenue by eliminating a lot of the nickel and dime fares that take up time and don't waste money. The midday 5-hour pass can become $5 versus $1.75. The reduced fares of $1.15 or $1.35, which is not the types of fares, money configurations they bring, can easily go to a minimum of $2 versus continuing to raise prices on those of us provide upfront capital at the beginning of the year and the beginning of each month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beatty. Omar Jimenez, followed by Elizabeth Perez.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Omar Jimenez, 1639 Cedar Bluff Lane, Dallas, 75253 in the Kleberg-Riley area. I share the same concerns that the speaker from Casa Linda spoke. In Kleberg-Riley, it's been about 10 years since we even had DART service, while a lot of our residents have paid into the system for as long as 30 years. I am very concerned with this fare structure, with the fare hikes, if this means better service and more service. I remember back in 2012, we were sold on the idea that we needed the fare hike because we needed to pay for the extensions of the Orange Line to DFW and the Blue Line going into Rowlett. And so I'm hoping with this if we're going to raise the hikes, that we should be getting better service in Dallas, because many people are standing up wanting improved services in all areas in Dallas, especially in Southeast Dallas, where, as you all are familiar with Star Transit, that services Sigaville, Botch Springs, and Mesquite. They actually have midday service, and the citizens of Kleberg-Riley do not have midday service. They are able to take a bus during the morning and during the afternoons during rush hour, which takes them into the Buckner station, Pleasant Grove, and the bus systems in Botch Springs and Sigaville does take them. So if we are going to raise the fare hikes, we should have better service, and to improve our service and to expand our service. And I know, looking at some of the plans for Kleberg-Riley, there will be a transition to an on-call service, which would be available to many other people in the Kleberg-Riley area who live very far from the 842 route. But I would definitely like to see both stay put, because it would be a very interesting transition to promote that into our area. So please improve our services system-wide, especially in the city of Dallas. That was what we were sold on in 2012, and we hope that we see more services improve if the fares do go up in the next couple of years. Thank you for your time, members.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. We have Elizabeth Perez, followed by Taylor Chrysler.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Perez, 3120 West Northwest Highway. I am here to address something very special, guys. You've heard lots of numbers. You're familiar with the numbers because I'm sure that you've been doing studies on the numbers. You know that a 20% raise is almost impossible. But let me give you another picture. A picture of a small company, Adult Day Services, that works with people that are nothing but Medicaid, that have no money of their own. We, the company, have to pay for their DART to come to the center so that their family members can go to work. Guess what? Families could not go to work many times because DART has not picked up their family member on time. They've lost their jobs for the same reason. You know, you want to increase? Yes, we'll go ahead and increase it because you're going to do it anyway. I know you are. You've done it every single time, and you've done nothing about improving the system. And that's what hurts. You have people that will pick up DART paratransit individuals. In the rain that we had today, it's a good example. My hair is limp, my pants are wet, because I was out there in that rain. Yet, what happens? A taxi driver picks up one of our clients, puts him in his van, takes off, and comes right on back. He's fussing, and he will not take our client home. Why? Because it's thundering outside. Because it's raining outside. He's scared. And yes, he's moving around. He has cerebral palsy. He's mentally retarded. Also, he's in a wheelchair. He cannot do anything for himself. There was no soothing, no helping him to quieten down. Instead, he brings him back and sits there and waits. When I left the center around 5:30 so I could get here on time, he was still there waiting. And I told him, you park over there and you wait and get out of the way so the other taxis and DART vans can come through. Because he was right in the middle. He wouldn't move. Now, come on, guys. Improve your service, help, and then race. That's all I can tell you. And I'm speaking to you from the heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Taylor Chrysler, followed by Richard Sheridan.
Good evening. My name is Taylor Chrysler. I'm at 325 Mandelbrook Drive, DeSoto, Texas. As a DART rider, I strongly oppose these rising bus fares, including the drastic 140% hike in regional fares and cut programs like reduced rates for trade school students. I'm a recent graduate at UNT, and a brief example, a good friend had an internship last year, which is necessary for graduating our program. Most of these job opportunities are in Dallas. While he was going to class full time, an extra $56 a month would have been impossible for him. There aren't enough hours in the day to make that work for him. And while I support progressive measures such as the automatic fare capping feature under the new proposed system, I've talked to enough people this past week about this to ask how the money that you might make from this fare increase will be significant relative to the money you might lose from ridership. And thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sheridan, followed by Robert Caldwell.
Evening, Richard Sheridan, 3817 Vanette Lane, Dallas, Texas. I live right across the street from South Oak Cliff High School, so I know a little bit about poverty where I live, and I also know about poverty because I live on a very meager $1,050 a month. And in fact, the $10 this month that I'd have to pay, sometimes I wind up having maybe 50 cents or $1 left. So it's significant to me and to the people that are living in poverty. It's been gone over before about the human condition. The DOT wants to increase its fares by 20%. As reported by NBC5 News, statistics released by the Dallas Poverty Task Force reveal that the poverty rate in Dallas has reached its crisis point. Not only poverty rate, but many other areas. We're not a safe city anymore because of the police and firefighter pension fund. That's for sure. The Dallas economy has proven to work well for millionaires, but has neglected to provide opportunities and positive growth for the poor and working class. The report shows, according to recent data, again, Ms. Montoya has gone over this, we are in a crisis situation, and this is the worst time to increase fares by 20%. It's like adding salt to the wound. As Ms. Montoya said, we've been compared to the poverty rates in Philadelphia and Baltimore. And for decades, denied portions of the city poor and working class the opportunity for advancement. According to recent data, 90% of Dallas jobs are north of 30. So you got a working class down there, an important working class down there, and they're going to have a burden of the increase, 20% increase. Today, Dallas is a tale of two cities, engineered by City Hall. There's no question, engineered by City Hall and at least two of the mayors. The HUD scandal, hundreds of millions of dollars have been misappropriated to go to continue segregation as opposed to affordable housing. And Jim Schutz of the Observer has basically, is this 2 minutes or is this it? Half a minute? Okay. Even D Magazine, a publication mostly for Dallas Rich, has been highly critical of DOT. The title of an article written in 2016 had this headline: "Doesn't anyone at DOT realize how terrible riding DOT actually is? DOT shouldn't be used for economic development, but should be a transit system." So basically, at one of the worst times, you want to increase your rates 20%. I would suggest if you're going to increase it 20%, that there should be no increase for those having reduced fares, no increase for students, and no increase for anyone handicapped, and if they can prove poverty level. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheridan. We have Robert Caldwell, followed by Betty Todd.
Robert Caldwell, 1709 Terrell in Allen, Texas, 75002. I'm a graduate student at UT Arlington, and since the MAX has been implemented, I've been able to ride all the way from Parker Station to UT Arlington. It's quite a long commute, but I much prefer it to the stress of driving. I'm able to do my readings, and I love the fact that DART exists. I'd love to see it expanded into new areas. I would much prefer Arlington to be spending sales tax on DART than on stadiums. But here today, I'm come to voice my concerns about the increases in fares, especially to the regional reduced. Currently, as a graduate student at UTA, I'm able to take the reduced fare, and I'm very grateful to be able to do that. But as other people have said, there will be a 140% increase for regional reduced. Now, if I want to go to Fort Worth or Denton, it will be a serious increase in cost. So practically, that means I'll probably ride less. I will start getting, half the AM or PM passes when I want to go to UTA, or probably get both of them because I'll have to get both. But I probably will be less likely to ride on other days. Already, I think there's a problem with lack of service. I mean, you all know that the TRE doesn't run on Sundays. That's a big difficulty for people that want to ride regionally. But as other people have said, I think it's a real concern to be increasing fares while keeping services more or less the same. From my naive point of view, perhaps, it seems as though you're putting the cost of your own capital costs and the expansion of all of these new technologies onto the backs of the riders. I've asked before, how much will it cost to implement all of these new technologies? And at the pre-public meetings, no one was able to give me an answer. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. We have Betty Todd, followed by Bob Williams. Ms. Todd, Betty Todd. Okay, Bob Williams.
Madam Chair, I'll yield my time. The comments have already been made.
Thank you, sir.
Was that Mr. Todd?
That's Mr. Williams.
That was Mr. Williams.
Thank you. We have Gary Stewart, I'm sorry, sir.
Can you hear me? My name is Gary Stewart. My address is 6133 Riger Avenue, Dallas, Texas 75214. I am a organizer for System Change, Not Climate Change. I'm also involved with the Dallas County Green Party and secretary for the Texas Green Party. I'm speaking representing System Change, Not Climate Change, and also the Dallas County Green Party, and objecting to these rate increases for passes. You should know that climate disruption is rapidly getting worse, and we have to radically reduce the consumption of fossil fuels. That is science. And the rest of the world, or at least the rest of the Western world, gets it, but Texas does not. But in order to deal with that we cannot be increasing rates which will reduce ridership. And particularly, that would affect the poor and people of color. As you should know, Dallas is one of the worst cities for income disparities. That is a scandal. It's worse than a scandal, it's a crime. The access to excellent transportation to us is a human right. Not because you're in a nice area of town that's getting focus from developers. The people of color, the poor who live in the center of the city has been poorly served, if served at all. And you should be addressing the needs of citizens who have already been living here for decades and who have been given shoddy service instead of courting developers and throwing money their way. So you have a battle on your hands. It sounds like you already made your decision that these rate increases are going to happen. Well, I want you to know, you have a war on your hands, and we're going to fight. I was involved in the fight against fracking, and it took us 5 years to win, but we did it, and we're going to do it to you. So before you start talking about as though this is a done deal, maybe you need to have some more public hearings like this before you make your final decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Is James Mosley in the house? James Mosley? No James Mosley? There are no other speakers listed. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, sir. Will you come up to the mic and state your name and address? You have a card for him? This is regarding the public hearing item?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is this the one here? Madam Chair, I must say that I am highly impressed, and I can sum up what I have experienced with you tonight in one word: real. I've heard a lot of real positive things, Mr. Thomas, about that young lady to your left, as well as yourself. and thanks to both of you. I'm a native Dallasite and a product of the DISD school system. My name is Norris Johnson. I have no tears or crying to shed about the economics. The one thing we got to always remember is that a thing called economics is eventually going to bite into the pocket and lifestyle of all of us, irregardless of our income level. I'm not going to stand up here and lambaste one of the very best rapid transit systems in this nation, and I have traveled throughout this nation all the way up to Seattle. New York, and a lot of areas in between. And the one thing we got to remember is this with our board. They're merely decision makers. They're not economics changers. The inflationary rate in the North American continent compared to the euro dollar is astoundingly frightening. Those of you who might read the Wall Street Journal or anything like that, The Economist magazine, just common sense tells you every day the American dollar is worth less. I want to commend our police force, our DART police force, able-bodiedly led by a young man back there in the back playing peekaboo, Chief Spiller, for their national accreditation and recognition, and Chief Addison, who has grown to be a dear friend of mine throughout this process, for helping protect our drivers and our riders. Now, the one thing I've experienced that needs to happen here is that our riders and our drivers are endangered by two policies that DART has. This complimentary ridership program that's being taken advantage of, and I might warn you that some of your statistics takers and your little people polling us are letting the public know that DART is federally subsidized. When people hear that, they think one thing: welfare, free. That's jeopardizing the safety of our drivers. So without further ado, on that accord, please think about using more plainclothes officers on these buses to protect the drivers, two of which are personal friends of mine that have been attacked by K2 users, and it's a ridiculous situation. Thanks for your time, and again, welcome aboard, Ms. Wilkins.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next, we have Pam Carter. Ms. Carter.
Pam Carter, 3403 Seaver Circle, Dallas, 75216. I would like to implore the board not to increase the prices. There has not been an increase in Social Security. The gas prices are not at the $3 and $4 range, so there's no increase there to cover the price of gas. And I just would like to make you aware that personally, due to that, the fact that there has not been an increase in Social Security, even when you apply for food stamps, which if you're a senior citizen, they are giving us a grand total of $16 per month for food stamps. And that $16 per month, you cannot account for the money that you spend on paratransit. They will not allow it in any phase of your income, whether it's on your bills or medical or anything like that. So that is straight out of the pocket. And I just, again, would like to implore you, please, please do not increase the fares for senior citizens or anyone at this point, for senior citizens or those with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, if you would, and state your name and address.
My name is Clarence Patrick. I'm a citizen of Dallas, City of Dallas employee, and just want to let you all know, board, that I ride the system every day. You know, I ride number 2, I ride number 11, you know, and I ride over there, you know, to my job each and every day. And I just want to piggyback on what the gentleman said, Mr. King. I believe that the information for this board meeting, as well as for the pre-board meetings, I didn't find any of that to be a factor, you know, for the community to be able to know about these meetings and about this structure of a fair or anything. Matter of fact, I just happened to, when I was riding last night on one of the buses, I just happened to find this one public hearing deal for the night. And the other ones that are on the buses, they're actually for earlier dates, for April 18, for older dates of meetings that you all have already had for the community of South Dallas. You know, but for this meeting, this is the only one that I've ever, you know, I found on last night. And I looked through it and I was appalled. I said, well, I didn't even know about the pre-hearings. You know, and I said, well, I'm definitely going to be here tonight because I want to know what's going on, because this is my main transportation, you know, so I definitely want to know what's the upkeep on what's going on and what you all doing around the city and the community and stuff like that. So, you know, but I would want to add that, yes, I would suggest that you would add more time and give more time for board meetings, because I believe a lot of the community of Dallas, you know, a lot of riders would love to have known about this, you know, and would love to probably be a part of it, to have something to say about it or write in about it or whatever. But if they didn't know anything about the meetings, about the structure of it, then how can anything be implemented? So I would just suggest that you would put this off and just add more time for board meetings.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Patrick. You have a card for Mr. Patrick? Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to turn in a written comment to be entered into record? Any comments made after the close of the public hearing would not be a part of the records of these proceedings. Since there are no other speakers or written comments to be turned in at this time, I would like to thank you for attending this public hearing, which is now officially closed at 7:51 p.m. We will now continue with our agenda. The next item we have is item number 3, which is the CAC report on the June 15th, 2017 meeting.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. Kay Schicht, the chairperson of our CAC, is not available tonight. My name is Charles Gillette. I'll be presenting for her. The CAC members present at the August 15th meeting were briefed on proposed elements of the Darts Fair restructure. By Senior Vice President Joe Costello explained the rationale for the restructure, including the fact that fares have not been amended since 2012. Mr. Costello also addressed all questions posed by the committee, and we asked a lot, including the AM/PM passes, the monthly passes, the fare capping, regional versus local pricing, cybersecurity concerns, and prices for high school and college students, as well as several other concerns. Mr. Costello acknowledged that it will take a considerable education effort to communicate these changes to our riders, customers, and other affected groups as these changes are approved by the board. The committee will also discuss old and new business, of course, and requested an update on the Cotton Belt, D2 subway, and 2040 system plan projects during the July meeting. That's the report, sir. Ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Gillette. Next item on the agenda is public comments. And general public comments will be allowed at the beginning of each dartboard meeting for a total of 30 minutes. All persons who have signed up to speak, for those who have addressed the board in the past 30 days, you will be recognized to speak during the public comment period at the end of the meeting. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. The green light on the podium will indicate when you can begin speaking, and the yellow light indicates you have 1 minute remaining, and the red light indicates that your time has expired. Our first speaker this evening is Coach Norris Johnson.
He already spoke.
He spoke? Okay. How about Ms. Silver? Did you want to speak again, Ms. Silver?
Yes, I spoke specifically about the fare structure, and this is about a different matter. Again, I'm Phyllis Silver of Addison, Texas, and I'd like to say that nowadays, just as our domestic economy has become a global economy, we need transit systems that are regional in nature in order for them to be successful. I ask that the board select a financing method that will allow the Cotton Belt line to be built on a timely basis. We need an east-west rail connection. Currently, the DART rail lines run north-south, and we need connectivity. The emphasis needs to be on good transportation for the region. This is not a matter of Dallas versus the suburbs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Silver. I still have Margaret Thompson. I know she had spoken earlier also. Ms. Thompson? How about Elizabeth Perez? I think she had spoken earlier. Ms. Perez? Okay. Okay, that concludes our public speakers. The next item are consent items from our agenda. We're going to remove item number 6 and take it at the next board meeting. So we will address items 5 and 7. Need a motion for consent items 5 and 7.
Move approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for items 5 and 7. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposes, say no. Okay, the items passes unanimously. Do we have any other public speakers who would like to speak? Okay, no other public speakers. It is now 7:56 p.m. and the meeting stands adjourned.